Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the entertainment headquarters. I'm your girl, Jessica Marie, and it is late over here. So, today we're eating some ramen with spam, sausage, jalapenos, red and orange peppers, green onions, and eggs, and mushrooms. We also got some fried gizzards here and gizzard hearts. And we've got on this side some kimchi. So I am truly starving and I'm ready to eat. We also have the Fago cotton candy. I'm doing it again because it was so good. And I got my sriracha on deck. You see how empty it is because I use it regularly. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. I was looking at my camera for some reason, but let's get into the video. Let's see. The movie we're watching today, I'm sorry guys, it's so late, but we're going to get this done. The movie we're watching today is called Horns. It's rated R. It was made in 2013. It's starring Daniel Radcliffe, and I think a lot of you guys know him from Harry Potter. He's Harry. And also, the movie's like an hour and 59 minutes long, so it is kind of a long watch, but it is worth it. It's a good movie. So, it's considered a drama fantasy. So, let's get right into what is going on. Open this up. Doesn't that just look tasty? Put this down here. Give me some room. If you guys are interested in getting these noodles, it's this brand. I don't know. So I tried it. I'm trying it. So let me try this. This is good. Try with some spam. Wow. Let's steam off of that. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's steaming. It's hot. We ate a mushroom. Okay. So the movie starts off with the main character is Egg, and his girlfriend is what's her name? I got me some notes today because it's Gina. Well, no. Marion. That's his name. So it starts off with Ig and Marion, and they're laying down in the forest, and they're just talking about, he said, I'm gonna love you for the rest of my life. And she's like, well, just love me for the rest of mine. It's good. So, it fast forwards, and he's being accused of murder. He's being accused of murder of his girlfriend, who he's been with forever. And so, this smell. So, clearly, he's distraught. He wakes up until he's been, I guess, just drinking and trying to pass the time. When he leaves his house, he basically is surrounded by reporters. They're all outside his home. So he drives over to his parents' house. This spam is surprisingly good. I never had spam before, so I decided to try it. It's tasty. So, he basically goes to his parents' house, and his parents are trying to protect him, and his dad is like, don't talk to reporters because we're trying to win your case. So, he's like, why don't you get a good attorney? Like, get someone who's highly recommended with a, I guess a good history of winning. And he's decided to pick his best friend, who's an attorney, because he said his best friend at least believes him. Which, I guess I can understand that. So they're discussing this, and his parents are like, well, whether you did it or not, you're our son, and we want to be here for you. So that kind of disturbs him, because he's like, well, if I did it, I should go to jail, because that's a disgusting thing to do. But he's saying, I didn't do it. So some peppers. So he walks away. He's angry. His brother, who is Terry, he follows him outside, and he's like, I just want to know I'm here for you, and if you need anything. He's like, I know. So his attorney, who's his also childhood friend, shows up at the house. He's trying to help him and tell him that, he has a chance. I did a good job. I'm happy with this. I think anybody would be. So his friend is like, it's going to be hard, but we do have a chance. And so he finds out that the lab that had some of his information was burned down. And he's like, well, doesn't that hurt my case? And he's like, well, Yeah, in a way, because there was stuff there that could have helped you. So it's not looking too good in that department. That spam is good. I'm surprised. We got some onions. I chopped up in the broth with also some garlic. So he leaves and he's trying to figure out what exactly happened. So it fast forwards to him basically thinking on his childhood because, you know, him and his brother, his friend named Lee, who's his attorney, and a girl named, named Glenna, and a guy named Eric. They were all friends. They all hung out, did stuff together all the time. You know how you do. And so, excuse me. So, it flashes back to how he first met, what is it? Marion. And they were young in church. And she was, you know, reflecting her little cross across the room to Ig. And so, when church was over, he went over there to her seat, and the cross was left there. But it was broken. So he grabbed it. So, after that, they're like on a pier where they do a lot of logging. There's a lot of logs in the water and stuff. And they're blowing up stuff with cherry bombs. Kid stuff. There's only one left. And they're Eric's. So, Eric's like, no, I'm saving this last one for something special. And Ig is like, well, you know, let me have it. You know, he said, I'll give it to you if you ride from this thing way up high and ride down basically into the water, and you have to do it naked. And so Ig says, fine, I'll do it. So he goes up there. It looks highly dangerous. I would not have done it, but he, you know, goes up there, slides down, lands in the water, and almost drowns because he gets caught under the logs. He can't get up, and he's running out of air. Sorry, you guys. He's running out of air. So, Lee jumps in the water because they're all like, someone save him. So Lee jumps in the water and saves him. And he's like, oh my God, thank you, saved my life. And Ig was like, well, give me the cherry bomb. And then Eric was saying, well, you wasn't fully naked because he had his underwear and his shoes on. And they all were like, no, give him that cherry bomb because he did what you asked. So, basically, they give him the bomb, and then fast forward, it's Lee and Ig hanging out, and Ig asks Lee if he can fix the necklace that Marion left in the church. So he's fixing it, and Lee is going on about how he likes this girl, because Ig is saying how he thinks she's really beautiful and she's a new girl in town. Lee was like, no, I think I kind of like her too. She's really pretty. And he was like, well, what are you going to give me for the necklace getting fixed? Because he's like, I like her too, so it might be a competition. And so he was like, I'll give you the cherry bomb. So he gets the cherry bomb. And he gives him the necklace. Excuse me. Egg sees, what is her name again? Marion. Egg sees Marion again. Let me try some kimchi. I'm going to see what this tastes like because I tasted it and I thought it tastes good. I just want to see what it tastes like with noodles. It's actually refreshing. If you like sauerkraut, you'll probably like kimchi. So he takes Marion to the forest in a secret little hiding spot. And they're hanging out there, and they confess that they like each other, and that, you know, she left the necklace there intentionally. So it seems though Lee ends up blowing up his hand with the cherry bomb, and so everybody's worried and concerned about it, and they're like, did you tell your mom where you got the bomb from and all that? And he was like, no, I'm not going to tell. And so Egg is thinking that he's responsible because he let him have the bomb, and it would have been better if maybe he just would have let him keep the necklace and give it back to Marion. But she's like, no, I want you to have my necklace. I want you to give it back to me. Basically, I was checking you out. I like you. So they start dating, and they're dating for a while. And he's gonna ask her to marry him. And the whole town, mind you, thinks he killed her. So the whole town, her dad, everybody. So basically, where was I at? Basically, after that incident, they were together for pretty much since they were kids. And so he decided he was going to propose and marry her. And so he was telling all his friends about it, his brother about it, and telling everybody, you know, get ready, because after I propose, we're going to hang out and celebrate. And so he picks her up, he takes her to the place, like a little diner. I guess it must be a diner they go to often. This is really good. So they go there, and he proposes, and she says no. And she tells him actually she doesn't want to be together because she needs to figure out if this is what she really wants. They've been together forever, you know. So she leaves. He's going off on her at the table, like, you know, tell me who it is. How long has it been going on? Did you have sex with him? She doesn't answer him. She just gets up and leaves. he gets in his car and takes off. So he goes back out. Fast forwarding to present day. He wakes up one morning and he's got horns developing on his head. And what happens with these horns basically make people reveal sins and tell the truth. So everywhere he's going, there's like this wickedness that people are saying and expressing, like deep truths. One woman was talking about wanting to bash someone's head in. Another person he went to the doctor to get his horns removed, and the doctor decides to start having sex with his nurse when he wakes up, and he's like, and the horns are still there. So it was pretty much a mess. It's just ridiculous. So he goes to his mother's house, and she said that she doesn't want him to be her son. Every time he's around, she's so unhappy. And she said, I just want you to go. And he's like, wow, Mom. And so he talks to his dad. His dad is like, I know you killed her. She was such a beautiful girl. I loved her in a way. She was the best thing about you. And I was like, dang, Dad is just, Mom and Dad are just, they're tripping. In a nutshell, it seemed like they didn't really care about their son too much at all. Like, getting on our nerves. I guess some parents do feel that way. They just never tell their kids. But so everywhere he goes, this is happening. Everywhere he goes. So the news reporters, they're following him. He tells them, you guys fight each other. Whoever wins the fight gets to have an interview with me. They start fighting each other. He goes to a bar. They start fighting each other. And then the owner of the bar burns it down because he said that's what he really wants to do to get insurance money. It's just insane. So he runs into his friend Lee. And Lee, because everybody sees the horns on his head. So everyone sees this. And everybody's acting differently. So he goes to Lee. And Lee doesn't see the horns. His attorney Lee, his friend from childhood who saved his life, he don't see no horns. And he's like, wow, that's weird. So as he's traveling through and he starts to realize, okay, this is a way for me to find out truth because this reveals people. So I'm going to be able to find the killer who really killed my girlfriend. So he goes to the diner, and the waitress that was waiting on him, she said, she confessed basically that she had lied, told a whole fabrication story to the police about what happened that night when they were in the diner and she left and then he took off. And he was like, why would you do that? She's like, oh, I want to be famous. And I know I'm so bad. He said, sometimes I tell people that you smashed her head in and then you did it from behind while she was dying. I'm like, how are you telling details like that? You was not there. So that lady was crazy. But that's what she told him. And then also he realizes that he's able to touch people and see all their truths. So he touched his brother. He asked his brother, you know, he was getting him updated on what had happened. And his brother was like, oh yeah, I did see her that night. And he was like, what? why did you see her that night after I took off? You never told me this. And he was like, oh, it's not no big deal. So he starts fighting his brother because he's like, no. You are possibly the last person to see her alive, and you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell the police that. So he touches his brother, and he sees that his brother did give her a ride. He picked her up from the restaurant, and he was driving, I guess towards her home or something. But while he was driving, he was flirting with her. He was trying to come on to her. And she was like, well, you know what? I just think I want to be alone. She got out the car and started walking in the woods. And he was like, no, you shouldn't be out there alone. But she was like, no, I want to be alone. So she went. And he was like, I'll just stay in the car and wait for you. And when he woke up from his sleep, there was a rock in his hand covered in blood, and his shirt was covered in blood. And he took his shirt and the rock, and he took it off, and he threw it in the ocean. So that is everything that Egg got to see when he touched him. And he was just so pissed. But in the midst of that, the police officers come, and one of the main police officers is his close friend from childhood, Eric. And Eric is also getting influenced by his horns because he's like confessing what he really wants to do to him. Like he really wants to hurt him, basically. And so, Ig is like, wow. And then he confessed to wanting to kiss, something sexual with his co-police officer, so his partner. He confessed to wanting to do something sexual with him. And Ig was like, what? And he was shocked. But, so, Ig gets arrested, but then he's freed. And when he's freed, he's having a tantrum, a meltdown. He's trying to basically remove his horns, but he can't. And then after he kind of gives up and just falls to the ground, a bunch of snakes start coming to him. So in this instance, he's like, okay, I'm about to really take charge because there's obviously been a lot of lying going on. So he goes to the dad's house of Marion, and he asks, was there ever something she ever said about another guy or someone that she was talking to? And he was like, I would never tell you anything my daughter said. And he had a shotgun in his hand. He was about to shoot him. He's like, get off my property. He said, I don't have anything to say to you. I know you killed my daughter. So he's like, okay, I'm sorry for coming here. So he basically goes out to get vengeance. So the lady at the coffee shop, she gets off work and she gets in her car and she's putting on her lipstick in the car, and all of a sudden she sees Ig behind her with his horns that are even bigger, and he's carrying a pitchfork and he's got a snake around his neck. And so she sees him in her rearview mirror and she gets startled, and then all these snakes are in her car. And they just start biting her up all crazily. And he tells her, well, vanity is a shameful thing to have. And so she's laid on the ground and he just leaves her there. And she's not dead, but she got injured really bad. Those snakes bit the heck out of her. Her face, her arms, her neck. It was crazy. So next person he goes to is his brother, because his brother, once he saw all that he saw through his brother, he realized that you were basically going to allow me to go to jail. You wasn't going to stand up. You wasn't going to stand up and tell the truth. So at least I would be in the clear because you're the last person who saw her, according to all the witnesses. So his brother's at his parents' house doing a whole bunch of drugs, cocaine, mushrooms, weed, pills. He's doing a whole bunch of drugs. And he's saying that he's had a hard time coping since the death of her, his girlfriend, which is because he knew more than he was willing to tell. That could have helped his brother, and he probably felt guilty about it. So his brother basically influenced him to take all of his drugs. He said, "You're going to feel what she felt when she was laying there." So his brother takes all that cocaine, all those pills, mushrooms, and weed, and drinking it down with liquor. He starts going into a total hallucination, panic. He's gone. So basically, after he does that, he's still looking for the killer. And so he's hanging out with Lee and talking to him. And he's like, "Oh, well, me and her." And then he realizes, "Oh, so you are the guy she was talking about." And he was like, "Well, it wasn't, we didn't want to hurt you. It was only for a couple months. And, we didn't want to hurt you and let you know. So we didn't decide to tell you." And so Lee is not Lee, but Ig is picking up on the fact he realizes you were messing with my woman. So after that, we're going to fast forward to near the end because there's a whole lot of little things that happen, but it's one of those movies you have to go see it yourself to get all of it. So after that, Lee and Egg are on the docks and he's confronting him. And he opens up his shirt and notices that his girlfriend's cross necklace is on his neck. And so he yanks it off. And then Lee can see the horns on his head. He's like, "Oh, you can see them now?" He's like, "Okay, good." He said, "You don't have her cross anymore to protect you." So at that point, they start fighting. They start thumping. And he basically tells Ig what he did. And basically, he's the one who killed her. He followed his brother when they took off in the car. He followed them. Got out the car. His brother was asleep in the car. So when he got out the car, he just went down the path. And he found her. And he was like, "I'm here. Let's go. We don't have to pretend that we're not together anymore." And she was like, "We're not together." She's like, "I'm in love with Ig. I love him deeply." And so he's like, "Well, why are you fronting, So he basically attacks her because she don't want him. And he rapes her. And then she bites him during the altercation. And he smashes her head in with a rock. And watches her die. He takes her necklace and grabs the rock, leaves the forest, sees that Ig's brother is still asleep in his car after all this has happened, puts the rock in Ig's brother's hand, and rubs the rock on his shirt to make it seem like he did something while he was drunk in the car. So that's how that happened to the brother. And so He decides he's going to kill Egg after all this is revealed. And he starts beating Egg with the chain. Egg is getting tore up. And finally, he throws Egg in the car and pours gasoline all on him, all in the car, all around him, and then he lights a match and lights him up. Egg tries to get out the car, but he keeps slamming the door closed with his foot so that he can't. Excuse me, guys. So, after that, everybody in town thinks Egg died in this terrible, like, suicidal accident, because that's what Lee went back and told everybody. That's what happened. So this is so good. I'm getting full. It's a lot of food. So Egg comes back out of the water, and he's all inflamed, like burnt up. But it's like he's not human anymore. He's more like a, I guess, a devil in a sense. And so when he gets back up, he goes to the dad's house of Marion. And the dad is like, you know, when you died, I thought I would feel better. He said, but I didn't. and he said, Egg said, I didn't kill her, but the dad was like, you know who did, didn't you? He's like, yes, I do. He said, well, let me know. He said, well, no, I have to do this. That's what Egg told the dad. So the dad invited him in the house, and he gave him a key that was left for him, that his daughter left for Egg. And then Egg gave him back the cross that belonged to Marion. And the dad was like, you know what, I think you may need this more than me. This might be your good luck charm for you. And so he puts it on, and all the burn marks go away. He's back to being a normal person like he was before getting burned. So he leaves and goes to visit his brother in the hospital, because his brother went to the hospital after having all those drugs in his body. So his brother's like, you know, I'm so sorry, and you know, I messed up. And Egg told him, you know, I'm about to go meet up with the person who did this. And he told him it was Lee. And his brother was like, well, I'm going with you. He's like, you're not fit enough to come with me. He said, he was very messed up. And so he's like, no, I'm not leaving you again. I promised that I would never leave you again. And so Egg was like, you can't. So Egg leaves the hospital, and he meets up with Lee, and he was like, you know, do you want to just take a walk? And he's like, you probably don't remember anything that happened, do you? And because it didn't seem like he remembered what happened as far as everything that took place, as far as like the burning and being exposed. So Lee's like, okay, let's take a walk, you know. And so they go walk to the forest, to the secret little place that Egg took Marion when they were younger. And so Egg is like, you know, you need to confess that you did what you did. I know what you did. And he's like, what are you talking about, Egg? Now, mind you, he's already confessed to it. Egg's already exposed him, but he doesn't remember that. So he's like, what are you talking about, Egg? I didn't do anything. He's like, yes, you did. You killed her. And he didn't want to admit that. So, right when Lee was about to get violent, Egg's brother showed up. And he showed up with Eric, the police officer, but he's also a childhood friend. And Eric's like, there's a lot of interesting things with your story, Lee. It's not adding up. And so basically everybody's there to basically make Lee confess, and Lee is not doing it. So Lee decides to say, okay, you know what, I'll do right. I'm gonna make this up. I'm gonna fix this. Yes, I'm gonna admit what I did. And so he's walking, but then he turns around and snatches the gun from Eric, and he shoots his brother in the leg. Terry. He shoots Ig's brother in the leg, and then they're struggling for the gun and trying to get it from him, and then he shoots Eric in the face. And then at that point, Ig is like, you know what, I can't get the protection of Marion's cross anymore. I have to be what I am now. So he snatches the cross off, and he turns into like this full-fledged demon. And at that point, Lee just starts shooting him up with shotguns, but he still keeps coming forward to Lee. And then he gets the pitchfork that Lee had, and he stabs him with it like 3 or 4 times, and Lee is starting to bleed out. But then finally, not Lee, Ig is bleeding out because he keeps stabbing him with the pitchfork. And then finally Ig rams him with his horns, and one of his horns stabs him through the back, through his body. And Ig falls to the ground, and while Lee is bleeding and trying to compose himself, a bunch of snakes come around him, strap his body up, and then the main snake, he comes up, slides through the hole in his body and comes out the back, and then goes down his throat into his body, and he's dead. Lee is dead. So Lee, their best friend, killed Marion because he was in love with her and she wasn't in love with him. He seemed to have had a psychotic mind. He was telling Ig, I should have been the one to give her the cross because it would have been me and her together, which is not the case because she didn't want you. But so Ig is sitting there and he's dying, and his brother comes to him and comforts him during this, and he dies, and he says, if this is heaven, then this is exactly where I want to be. And he wakes up and he's with his girlfriend. He's with Marion. You also find out that, if we fast rewind a bit, Marion did not leave him because she didn't want to be with him. She left him because she had cancer. And sorry guys, she had cancer, and she didn't want him to, basically have to take care of her while she was suffering and going through, because she said her mother went through that and she saw what it did to her father, and so she didn't want to put that on Ig. But that's the only reason she broke up with him. And she didn't really want to give him any answers. She just wanted to make him upset so that he would leave her and move on with his life. So when he died, he was back in her arms. They were laying out on the grass, on a blanket, and they were just kissing, and basically took us back to the scene of the beginning of the movie where he said, I'm going to love you for the rest of my life. And she said, well, just love me for the rest of mine. And I thought it was a really good movie. It is a little bit long, and there's a lot of parts I did not get to tell you because it was just so many in-depth little things here and there, but it was a good movie. It's on Netflix right now, so you guys should definitely go check it out. From a scale of 1 to 10, I think I would give this movie about a 7, maybe a 7.5. It wasn't scary, but it is in the horror section. And I'm guessing that's because he was a demon and there was some killing and some brutalness that happened and a little bit of nudity. But as far as the movie itself, it wasn't a scary movie. It was more of a drama fantasy. And it was a really good film. I really, really enjoyed it. This food was amazing. I'll be honest, I am very full. I don't think I can eat another bite. This is 3 packs of noodles, so I'm very full. So until next time, tomorrow we'll be watching the movie The Forest, and that's also on Netflix. It is a horror movie. I think it is in that genre. So I hope you guys come back and join me. Today you guys have no idea. It is late. It's like 3 in the morning. And it's just been a very busy day. Trying to get my son together. He did not want to go to bed today. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this movie. I did. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow, because I will be here. Come rain or shine. Baby crying. Husband needing me. I will be here for you guys. Okay, you guys. Till next time. I hope to see you tomorrow. And tomorrow's movie is The Forest, so if you guys want to check it out on Netflix before I review it, so that we can be on the same page and be eating food and enjoying a movie review, then please go to Netflix and check it out. Other than that, you guys, I am tired, I am full, so have a good day, you guys. Stay safe, stay blessed. And I'll see you next time.